Hi, my name is Leslie Sammons, and this is my Dialect and Power in Your Community project. So, for my project, although simple, I chose my own household while living with three different people and having friends and family from each of them come and visit. It provides a lot of languages and code switching opportunities that occur in the house. So, here's just a couple of how language is used in specific ways. So, there's Spanish speaking, Appalachian dialect, Northern dialect, Southern dialect, modern speaking terms, and academic code switching. Um, we have friends that are Spanish, and it's really interesting for them to be sitting on our couch talking with like no accent at all, and then answer the phone and like have gained a Spanish accent as well as like speaking Spanish to their family or friends, whoever they're on the phone with. So that code switching right there that we get to see and even learn about after she hangs up, of like what was she talking about and what word was this, and such like that is really interesting. The Appalachian dialect and the Southern dialect are very interesting. They're both way more relaxed, and the Appalachian dialect I find is old-fashioned. Maybe it's the friend I have with that accent, but he often says things like jailhouse or yunnins or just stuff that's very like old-fashioned terminology that we don't use too much these days anymore. The Northern dialect we use most in this household. All four of us that live here are from Northern Kentucky, so almost the Ohio area. So we have a very little bit of an accent. Differences for us, such as like soda versus pop or cart versus buggy, becomes rather normal here because we don't use like buggy or pop or coke down in this area, like that is used down in this area more that we hear. The modern speaking terms, basically like when we're more relaxed and hanging out with friends, we'll say modern terms such as like selfie or bet or all those ones we talked about in class earlier in the semester, just because they're modern terms that in general most people are going to understand and communicate with. And then the academic code switching is like it switches from that to us doing homework at the table and like talking about terms that are never used. For example, when like my roommate talks about like she is getting a business degree, like there's terms that I will never hear or ever use in my life that she talks about, and just different academic terms that are used. um, why is this use of dialect or code switching important to know in this group? I think it is just because since it is such a small space and there's so many different dialects, it's important to be able to communicate with each other and understanding the different dialects and terms being used in different conversations and being able to code switch depending on the conversation topics. So obviously if we're talking about like business and different terms with that, we're going to have more of an academic perspective than a casual perspective. Who has the power in this group? I think it's the people that live here. One, all four of us are from the same area, so we have the most dominant dialect. And there's also, it's our main environment. We live here. So, like, code switching is more common for us to, like, kind of adapt to who's in our house versus somebody code changing and, or switching, like, as soon as they walk in and staying that way, where we change, like, um, like, our terminology and communication a lot depending on who's in our living room. Um, and then how is this power evident? Like I said, um, the common dialect out of the community as well as being the main community that we live in. Um, what do we do, if anything, when we ignore or discourage language variations? What are possible negative effects of ignoring others or English dialects? So personally, I think when we discourage language variation, we shut down the idea of people being different and being individualized and part of their individual cultures. And I think also like people are like kind of forced to conform to one combined culture that's kind of mixed together, causing like history and culture and uniqueness to fade into the whole English standardization that we have in our school systems. And finally, can code switching reinforce discrimination? I think so. It's always really interesting to have like the idea that someone could potentially like slip up when they're code changing and speak in the wrong dialect in the wrong setting, and it can be viewed as wrong and uncivilized, or it can be viewed as whoa, they're learning so much with their standard English, they're not as relaxed and they're losing their culture. Although like they can use both dialects in both cultures, it's really crucial using it in the right culture. Otherwise, people can start being discriminated for the dialect and code switching that they are using in that specific time. So I found out a lot I found out a lot from this project. I really enjoyed it. And I think that uh, I've caught on a lot more to different things language wise that's been happening in my community. And I hope to gain even more perspective with the rest of this class. Thank you.